right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this first of our free webinar series that we are doing called, it's actually, I used to do this as a paid course. It'd be a little bit more in depth, include some extra stuff, but I decided to modify it. Oh, hey, Brooke. Decided to modify it and offer it as a free thing so that more people could come. So we're going to use some free materials throughout. So I'm doing 5 of these sessions. This is the first of 5, and it'll be at the same time on Tuesdays each week, just as a reminder. So if you sign up for this one, sign up for the other ones as well. You can sign up on the BarMD website. So first, I just want to introduce myself and say thank you so much to everybody that is here live. I appreciate you being here so much. My name is Maureen. I am the founder and creator of BarMD. We're a full service bar prep company. So anything you need to prep for the bar exam, we've got it. We have, full courses with literally everything you need, all the MBE questions, essays, model answers, PTs, outlines, etc. And I think there's a couple of things I think for those of you that haven't done one of my classes before. How many of you here are here for the first time? Tell me in the chat if you've never come to one of these events before. I know I see some familiar names, which I love. Oh, good. Hi, Chelsea. Hey, Alina. And Ella, Lena. Wow, a lot of you. Good. I love that. Alice, Ella, yeah, good. Virginia, hi. So excited. Oh, awesome, Crystal. There's Christine. Hi, Mashed. Yeah, tell me in the chat if this is your first time coming to one of these events. So I run BarMD and I have a whole team of people that work with me. Oh, hey, Jen. What San Diego and the LOS? I don't know what the LOSP is. I'm curious what that is. Oh, hey, Paige, how are you? We got your email also, just FYI. Hey, Funme. Oh, Law of Study. Okay, gotcha. Oh, that's exciting, Jen. I would love to chat with you. Ishmael, hey. So we do a couple of things I think that are very different than other bar prep companies. So if you've taken the bar exam before, or if you haven't, what you'll see is that most of the programs you sign up and you're going to watch a ton of stuff that's recorded. So we do a lot of live classes, and I think that's incredibly important. Oh, thanks, Pauline. We do a lot of live classes. So I think that's really important because 1, you get the chance to ask questions. 2, there's accountability. So when you have to show up and when you come to class, I expect you to have done the work that we are going to review. Not tonight, but we are going to do some work. We're going to do a little bit of Civ Pro multiple choice tonight. But you just really want to, that accountability piece is really helpful. So that's one thing that we do that's very different. And the second thing that we do that's really different, and I think a lot of companies, a lot of people think that they teach this, but I'm really particular about this, is we really teach you how to do everything to pass the bar. We don't just throw a bunch of content on you and then say, all right, figure it out. We show you step by step how to figure it out with every component. So with the MBE class, with the essay class, and the PT class, we're really walking you through that process. And also, we get you to think about the process in which you answer the question. And when this is really important, because what you need to be able to do is figure out every time you write something, every single time you write something, every multiple choice you answer. What you need to do is you need to understand why you missed something. And I know that people say that, I'm sure you guys have heard that, but you need to know what figuring that out looks like. And that's what we show you. That's what I think we do that is so different. And I'm really emphatic about teaching that in my classes. So anybody else that teaches for me, that is what we do. Because it helps you to think about the way you thought. Because on the exam, you're not going to get stuff you've seen before. I mean, you'll have seen the law, obviously, or hopefully. You'll have seen the issues that are tested, but it's going to be a new essay, a new fact pattern, some variation on what you have seen. It's going to be not the multiple choice questions that you will have seen, and not the same PT. But the skills that you need for all of those tasks you will have seen in practice before, and you absolutely need to know how to get to the right answer. So it's just so much skill. So we really like to teach you how to do everything and break it down. So I'm going to show you a little bit of that tonight and in each of these free webinars. We do have our full courses. If you've not signed up for bar prep yet, how many of you, so I've got a couple of questions. How many of you are taking the exam for the first time in July? Tell me in the chat. It's scary. Okay, Ishmael, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. Tell me if you haven't taken it. Yeah. I know a lot of people took February. We just want to keep the skills sharp, make sure that we're in good shape, just in case you have to retake the exam, which fingers crossed you will pass. Um, yeah. So tell me if you're waiting for Feb 26 results too. I'm curious. Waiting very patiently. Yeah. Oh, hey, Aneta. Waiting. Yeah, a lot. Waiting, hopeful. I hear you. I'm hopeful for everybody too. Waiting, but not patiently. That's accurate. Same. I feel like that. All right. So yeah, first, just welcome to everybody. So today, so how these webinars work is we're going to use some of the same materials. So today I have two links for you guys. I'm going to post these in the chat. I have two links to some, thanks, Peter, um, for you guys. So one is a link to 10 civil procedure MBE questions, and another one is a link to, oh, hey, Jen, that's awesome. Another one is a link to some mixed multiple choice questions that we will use over the coming weeks. So let me put the first, well, I'm going to put both links in here. Okay. Oh, good. Good, Firkin. So there, that I just put in is the link for just the civil procedure questions. And I'm going to put in one more. And we're actually going to start with this second link. There. So everybody just take a minute and click on those links. You don't need to do the questions or download anything at this point. Just have those handy. All right, let me get my PowerPoint up. And while I get this up, I have a very important poll for everybody. Erica, did you mean to raise your hand? I should say which is best, not better. Erica, did you have a question, Erica? While I get this up. Oops. Okay, I'm gonna.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, great. I'm so curious, but what did the February people say about the exam? Do they feel good about it, or were they kind of like, oh my God?
Yeah, I mean, February people, if you want to put, oh, they're saying link page not found for you, Samantha. February folks, if you guys want to answer that in the chat, or we can kind of do that at the end. Okay, same here. Hold on. Which link, you guys? The first one or the second one? Oh, okay. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, Alina, that's funny. It's saying both work for you. So some people, the link works. Okay. Hey, Sharon. Okay. And I don't know if you copied and paste. Maybe if you didn't copy paste the whole thing. All right, Erica. I'm gonna mute you again. But so we'll have some answers in the chat. I've heard from a lot of people. It's always mixed. It's always mixed. Some people are saying they thought it was fair. From what I've heard, it sounded pretty fair. For California, I know that somebody's talking about California. I will actually do breakdowns of the exams. For California, I'll do it soon. I will do that soon. UBE, I think some people might have been surprised. I think just because some of these essay subjects that were going away after February, some people were like kind of betting on them not showing up, but they were tested a bit. So I think it was like wills and trusts, and also was secured transactions tested. Yeah. And we have wills. Yeah. for UBE. So there's people from California here. I think there's some Florida and there's UBE. So a big mix here. Yeah. So there's always going to be stuff. And it's also, it's different based on the people. So it depends if, it really depends how you felt. Like maybe you liked the subjects, maybe you didn't. It depends really on your prep. So yeah, some people are having trouble with California is not affected. It's the UBE is removing a couple of subjects for after February. So for UBE, Chelsea, California, nothing is changing. Okay. And then just as a FYI, French toast won in the breakfast debate, but only by a hair. Wow, pancakes got the worst. That surprises me. So here you go. All right, I'm gonna. I just like to do a little something while I get my slides up. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit tonight about. We're going to just jump right into it, and we're going to talk about topics tested within civil procedure, particularly on the multiple choice. But this also does apply to the essay as well. And then I'm going to review some civil procedure MBE questions in depth. We're going to do that. All right, so that is the plan for tonight. Let me turn that off, the poll. Okay, so civil procedure topics, and I've bolded the first three. So this is how the NCBE, they're the company, the organization that owns and puts on, administers the MBE, which is the multiple choice portion of the exam. And they break civil procedure down into 7 distinct topics. So we have the first 3 here. I call these heavy hitters. And there are every subject, there are 7 subjects tested on the MBE. Theoretically, there's really a little bit more than that, but how they categorize it, it's 7. And in each subject, you will have 25 multiple choice questions. But not all topics within each subject are necessarily created equal. So you will have 25 questions that are on civil procedure, and about 6 will be on jurisdiction and venue, and about 6 on pretrial procedures, and about 6 on motions. So in Civ Pro, 18 out of the 25, or 2/3, are coming from here, from just these 3 topics. Oops. And then the other 4 topics, law applied by federal courts, jury trials, verdicts and judgments, and appeals. With those, let's see. With those, you're just going to get 1 to 2 questions each. So you have some sort of mix here, but the bigger topics are definitely these first 3. And I'm going to talk about each of these. And I'll try to do something else, Paige, for those of you where the second link isn't working, but I will put the questions up on the screen. So fear not, you will be able to see them and participate. So first, within jurisdiction and venue, the 4 topics that are in there are the following. So we have subject matter jurisdiction, personal jurisdiction, service of process and notice, and venue issues. So venue, form nonconvenience, and transfer. Most of the issues truly revolve, or like where people mess up in practice, and I teach a lot of this, is within subject matter jurisdiction, because that includes traditional SMJ. So, traditional basis, long arm statute. I'm sorry, that's PJ. SMJ is dealing with federal question and diversity. And then it's also dealing with supplemental jurisdiction, which trips people up quite a bit. You're dealing with technicalities regarding removal and remand as well. So there's just a lot that can kind of trip people up within SMJ, surprisingly. Then we have PJ, service of process and notice, and then again, venue, form nonconvenience, and then transfer. But I would say the biggest area where people have a lot of trouble is within SMJ. And the reason I want to talk about this stuff and I talk about the areas that trip people up is because when you are doing questions, you want to remember, you want to focus on, I understand when your data, if your dashboard for multiple choice is showing you that you're not doing so well in civil procedure, you don't just want to think you're bad at civil procedure. You want to get down in the nitty gritty, because of all the 25 questions in this topic, if you say, okay, I'm not so good, I'm getting a low score in jurisdiction and venue. Well, where in jurisdiction and venue is it? So that way you're not saying, well, I'm bad at Civ Pro. You're saying, all right, in Civ Pro, I need to improve in jurisdiction and venue. And maybe within that, it's an even smaller subset. So it's really just in SMJ, for example. That makes it much more manageable when you have to, and like even just mentally thinking about how are you going to manage that. Sorry, can y'all hear me okay too? I have a mic that's supposed to be on. It doesn't look like it's on. Okay. Let me just make sure my mic is on. Okay, I might switch over. Okay. Okay, thanks. Thanks, everybody. Okay, good. Thank you, everybody. Good, good, good. Let's just check on that. Okay, good. Just try this. Is that any better? Or is that clearer? Oh, it's worse. Interesting. Okay. Huh. Okay. Going back. Ah, all right. This is better. Okay. Let's take the mic off. I hate it. I always forget that I'm wearing it, that I'm walking around in public with the mic on and I look like I'm trying to be an influencer and I'm not. No hate on influencers, you know. But I live in New York. There's always photo shoots happening everywhere. Like everywhere you turn, it's just like insane. Um, Especially like you're having brunch in the West Village and it's lovely, but there's like 6 photo shoots happening. Um, it's amazing. All right. So, but yeah, then there's me walking around with the silly mic on. All right. So I always like everybody to like the bar, if you haven't studied for it before, for those of you that are where this will be your first time, it will feel overwhelming. Like I'm just gonna tell you, there's so much, and you're gonna think, oh my God, how am I ever going to know this volume of information? And so, whenever you are assessing yourself, which you're going to do a lot of, you always want to try to distill it down to like the smallest piece, to break things down into manageable pieces. So, always try to like categorize and group the stuff together that you're not good at that makes sense going together. So, look at all of your SMJ questions together because it'll click faster if you group stuff like this. It's called chunking the material. I hate that word, but that's technically the term for memorizing. Anyhow, so within jurisdiction and venue, you want to know if you're low there, where is it that you're not doing so great? Pretrial procedures is a big topic. There's a ton covered here. So preliminary injunctions and TROs, pleadings and amended supplemental pleadings, Rule 11. There's really a lot of stuff with sanctions that I kind of grouped together here. Joinder of parties and claims, including class actions, discovery, adjudication without a trial, and pretrial conference and order. And the 2 areas where people really get tripped up are Rule 11, and I'm just going to say sanctions broadly, which includes Rule 11. So there's 4 sanctions provisions: Rule 11, Rule 26, Rule 11, Rule 16, Rule 26, and Rule 37. All of those, and I get into this way more in depth in my actual MBE course. Um, but you want to know all of your sanctions provisions and know when each one applies. That's what trips people up in part in pretrial. The other big thing that trips people up in pretrial procedures is joinder of parties and claims. So, like in my MBE course, I have you create a big table. I give you a list of all of the different types of joinder and then know what all the various elements are and when each one applies. That's really what mixes people up within pretrial. It's really those 2 things, these 2 little arrows here. So it's not as crazy as all of this stuff. This to me, when I look at it, feels like a lot. And especially when you start looking at your outlines, it'll feel like a lot. Oh, that's interesting. Somebody said there were a lot of joinder questions in the MBE this February. Okay, motions. Motions is a tricky topic for sure. So and it's really about part of the reason civil procedure questions just in general are tough is because they're multi-stream. So what we mean by that is there's a lot going on in each question. So they're not just necessarily testing you on on a JMOL. They're testing you on a JMOL against a motion for relief from judgment, against a motion for a new trial, against an RJMOL. So it's all of these different things that are going on at the same time. They'll be testing you also in the same question on PJ, SMJ, et cetera. I won't be sharing these slides, no. But in my Mastering the MBE course, I will. And they go way, way, way more in depth than we do. It's a nutty class. We do so much together. But yeah, so within motions, you really have to work on identifying and distinguishing between the different motions and on the timing of it. Motions, you want to, like in my MBE book, I have a timeline of, okay, these are the motions at this phase, these are the motions at this phase, these are the motions at this phase. So you really have to be able to discern between the different stages of a case and the different motions and like what the various standards are. There's a lot of nitty gritty to know in here. So, but it's not, each of them are not overly complex. It's just keeping them all straight. And you have to come back to it over and over and over and practice it. So, then you have here, I updated this since I taught this before, I updated this a little bit today. But law applied by federal courts, this is a subject you're only going to get 1 or 2 questions. You're not going to get a whole lot. It can come up, this and everything I've talked about can come up in the essays too. The topics that are listed on the NCBE, the subject matter outline, they just list state law and federal court and federal common law. But under state law and federal court, you're also dealing with all of these issues that I added, the last 3 points. So Erie Doctrine and Claxon, and you're dealing with choice of law and conflict of law issues. So those are kind of the same, but they're a little bit different. So all of these issues, but again, you're only going to have 1 or 2 questions. But people get really mixed up, particularly with Claxon doctrine. I would say is one of the bigger things. Also, jury trials. There's some funky little rules here. But it's really just a couple of issues. It's really the right to a jury trial. I would say it's really the right to a jury trial, number 1, and then also jury instructions. So both of those come up a lot. Selection and composition of juries somewhat, but I think what trips people up is the right to a jury trial. That's really the most. Verdicts and judgments, defaults, so default judgments, dismissals, voluntary dismissals versus involuntary dismissals, different jury verdicts, so different jury verdicts types and challenges to those, judicial findings and conclusions. This is just a little bit. There's really not a whole lot here. The big thing that people get tripped up with, but once you get it, you get it. And I break down the terminology pretty well in the MBE course. But claim and issue preclusion. So what is the effect of a judgment, i.e. can it be used for claim and issue preclusion? And there's crossover here with choice of law. So with the last, with law applied by federal courts, there's issues here with Erie and Claxon and verdicts and judgments too. So there can be crossover within each of these topics. So just so you know. All right, last topic is appeals, appealability and review. Really, the thing that comes up here is the final judgment rule. And that's where everybody gets tripped up. So you need to know the final judgment rule, also called the final order rule. I use these terms interchangeably when I'm teaching. Every time I think about it, I say it one way and then I say, or is it the other one? It doesn't really matter. One thing, and I'm gonna actually take this off. If everybody knows and remembers this thing, I think you will have a better experience studying for the bar. Because we have to set your expectations. And people, those of you that took it, and especially if you took my classes, the thing to know about studying for the bar. So you're going to go into this thing and you've gone to law school, et cetera. You've done well. You've been a good student. Most of your life. I was a terrible student from the majority of my life until like late college, and then law school I did well. But so the thing about, so you've been a good student, right? You've gotten good grades, you've accomplished a lot. Showing up for the bar and practicing every day, you're not going to be good at it, right? And those of you that have taken this and gone through this process vouch for that. You get to the bar and it's just like, what the heck? and you just feel it feels kind of impossible. It feels kind of impossible. There's so much information, and you're gonna write essays, and you're gonna do terribly on them regularly, right? Everybody, tell me in the chat. I want to normalize this because it is not normalized. People don't know that. It's an exhausting process in so many ways. The part that's exhausting is it's frustrating because you expect that you're going to do well. It sucks because you're going to just get stuff wrong left and right. It feels absolutely horrible. And it's overwhelming, and all it does is make you, Sharon said, whoops your tush. Absolutely. It just makes you feel like you're going to fail the exam, and the time flies by, etc. So it sucks. You have self-doubt. There's just so much for all of you first timers. The thing that you have to really do is, and like the measure of whether you succeeded on that essay, even if you got a failing score, right? It's such a roller coaster. The measure of success is, if I had to do that essay again, if I have to talk about those issues again, if I have to talk about this, yeah, Brooke said she never cried so much. Dude, same. I talk about this when I'm teaching. Is if I had to redo that essay, would I be able to do it well? Could I write that issue in the future and I could do it well, right? Because the thing is, every day when you show up, I'm not going to assign an essay that tests you on PJ and SMJ every single day, right? You're going to write the essay. It's going to test you on PJ, SMJ, issue preclusion, claim preclusion. It's going to teach you all of that stuff. You're going to do it, you're going to suck at it, and then you're going to read the answer, understand it, you're going to fix your answer, go through a labor some process to do that. Then you're going to say, okay, I understand that essay. The next day, you're going to do a whole new essay on new topics, right? So you're going to have to go through that again, and it's going to not go well, right? And every day you're doing that. And then you're going to come back to a topic that you've seen. You're like, okay, yeah, this one does PJ. I can do that now. I get it, right? But it's frustrating and it's exhausting and it's overwhelming. But that is the point, is to learn from each essay that you write. So the measure of success on an essay isn't, because you're not going to do well on them, and that's okay. And I wish somebody had told me that, because I just cried a lot and ate a lot of chocolate pretzels. But you want to make the mistakes now so that you don't make the mistakes on the bar. Does that make sense for all the first timers? And have you heard that? Like, I wish so badly that somebody told me that. Because I expected myself to do very well. I did great in law school. Yeah. So not to scare y'all, but just to be like, have really good at clear expectations. So, all right, let's go back to the slides. For all you first timers, is that I hope I didn't scare you, but I hope you know, like, when you start practicing, I have somebody that I started working with one-on-one a couple weeks ago, and he's taking the July exam, and he's so frustrated at a top school, doing well, going into big law, and he's just like, it's so frustrating. All right, so let me go back to the slides. Ishmael, you were already scared. Yeah. Oh, somebody asked a really good question that I want to answer. It's super humbling. Yeah. Hey, Giselle. The people who've been in law school, have been out of law school for a while. You want to give yourself longer to practice. You want to give yourself extra time to review. Just FYI, we have programs that start on the first of each month. We have a study schedule that starts on the first of each month. The live classes are the same throughout. No matter when you start the program, the live classes stay the same, but you can start your review now. So it's best absolutely to practice. And the syllabus is the best. It's if you're taking UBE or California, those are the options that we have. So yeah, you would just pick that you're doing UBE, and the schedule is the same. Yeah. So the key is, for the writing, the key is to practice every day and to practice closed note and timed. And I teach how to do that. We walk you through that in the courses. And we're going to do a little, not tonight, but we're going to do a little bit of that together in the next week or two, also in this course, in this series. So yeah, both are important. Doing a closed note, and MEE is not more important than MBE. Absolutely not. It is not more important. It is the harder task for a lot of people. So that's the thing where you have to be able to, like, start from a blank page and answer the questions. You have to have law memorized for it. but you have to practice everything incredibly well. Yeah. All right, let's get back to my PowerPoint. Okay. So we're going to do a little bit of practice. Oh, we're going to do actually, I don't need the PowerPoint. We're going to do a little bit of practice. So for those of you, for that second link, I don't know why it's not working for some of you, but for others it did. Let me see if I can just download this and drop the PDF in the chat. So for those that are beginning to prep after a long time, how do I recommend overcoming the writer's block? So you can ease your way into writing an essay. So it's a few steps. So first thing, you want to have reviewed the subject and not review it for perfection. You're not going to have everything memorized. Um, you're not going to have everything memorized. So what you can do though is you can look at the fact pattern, look at the call of the question and see if it tells you what it's testing. So like, let's say it's testing personal jurisdiction, subject matter jurisdiction, and venue. Then go review your rules on that stuff. Take 20 to 30 minutes, go and review those topics. Then go back to the fact pattern and then time yourself and write it. So what you're doing is you're not writing the essay open note, but you're taking a slightly different approach because you're going to say, okay, these are the issues that are being tested. You're going to go review those issues for 20 to 30 minutes, memorize the rules a little bit, then put away your notes and then come back and write the essay. And that's important because it works on your memorization. So when it works on your memorization. And so every time you do something closed note like that and you recall the rule, it helps to further cement that rule in your memory. And that's how you improve your speed over time. You're not going to be doing stuff in like, you're going to go like a few minutes over and then you're going to get faster over time. And that's okay. Somebody asked if they plan to take the Missouri bar. I think Missouri is UBE. So as long as it's UBE, it's the same syllabus. Somebody asked if you want to be on our mailing list, where should you contact? If you go to my website, bar-md.com, there's a little pop-up to join our mailing list. So you can do that. All right. So I did also drop a few of you that couldn't get the questions. Here's the MBE sample test questions. I dropped the PDF in the chat. You might be able to get that a little bit easier. And I'm going to pull these questions up and I'm going to walk through. Yeah, this is from the NCBE. It's not from an OPE, no. All right, y'all. So we're going to do a few questions together, and I'm going to show you slowly how to deconstruct these questions. And if you guys like this, I'll talk about my Mastering the MBE course, and I'll talk about our core program. So our core is our full bar prep. So we have core with MBE. We have here, Ananta, there's the PDF, and I'll put the link again in the chat. Core is our full service bar prep program. And then Mastering the MBE is our MBE only course as well. So, and it's all like the MBE class is 24 live sessions. And if you're in core, we're introducing something new this time, which is going to include weekly live sessions with me. So instead like weekly, like office hours and like tips of the week, etc. It's going to be fun. So, I mean, fun for bar prep, you know. All right, let me get this up on the screen. Oh, good, Anetta. Yeah, people's scores were skyrocketing in that class. It was amazing. Like I had people getting like 90% regularly in their practice, and they had failed the bar 3 times. So it's really encouraging. Okay. All right. So multiple choice questions. We always start with the call of the question. All right. So it says here, a woman. So was the action properly removed? Oh, wait, I need to upload this into GoodNotes. Sorry, everybody. Okay, there we go. So was the action properly removed? So when it's talking about removal, we're dealing with SMJ. right? We're dealing with subject matter jurisdiction. And removal is dealing with some of the technical components of it. Let me get my chat back up. Yeah, fingers crossed for everybody that took the February exam. Oh, I always feel like I take it also, but I obviously didn't. Okay. So a woman from state A filed an action against a retailer. So I diagrammed the question. So a woman who's from state A. So I put the W because she's the plaintiff. A is her domicile. A retailer, and they don't tell me the domicile of the retailer just yet. They do that intentionally to kind of make you forget about it. In a state court in state B. So I write state because this is like the jurisdiction where the forum, right? This is the plaintiff. This is the defendant. All right. And this is the domicile. So so I think because of the way they're writing this, I think they're going to try to trip me up with the domicile of R. The complaint alleged that the retailer had not delivered $100,000 worth of goods for which the woman had paid. So I like to note with SMJ, so you can have it via federal question or diversity. For diversity, you have to have the amount in controversy and you have to have complete diversity. So breach of contract means it's not a federal question, right? So it has to be via diversity. So the amount in controversy is satisfied. So I put a check mark there. So is there complete diversity? So 20 days after being served. So when do you have to remove? Removal generally has to be 30 days within 30 days after the action becomes removable. It's technically after the pleading, which makes the action removable, was filed, but it's 30 days. So it's timely. So 20 days after being served, the retailer, which is incorporated in state C, and has its principal place of business in state B, filed a notice of removal in a federal district court in state B. So they filed it, they removed it to the proper court. All right. Hang on one second. Yeah, so it has to be within 30 days. And yeah, so where is it filed? It's filed in state B, right? And the defendant is a domiciliary of state B. So I always like to circle the party that's doing the removing. It can only be the defendant. So if it's the right party doing the removing, it was timely. There is complete diversity. It meets the amount in controversy, but one of the rules is that the defendant cannot remove if they are a citizen of the forum state. And here, they're a citizen of the forum state. So, yeah. So was the action properly removed? So it's a no, but I want to make sure that I get the reasoning right. And we're going to go through I always go through all 4 answer options, and you need to too. Just because you get it right, don't assume that you're getting everything you need to get out of the question. So A, no, because the notice of removal was not timely filed. So that's incorrect because it was timely. And I want to just do a quick review. I want to say, okay, it's within 30 days. So that lets me review that rule. So because 30 days. And generally, when I'm teaching in my classes, you will show up having done the work. I wrote an MBE book that has the black letter law, and then it also has 410 real released questions in it. And we basically go through and work our way through the large majority of the book. And we're going through every single answer option. And what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, if you pick this answer, it's because you missed this fact. Yeah. And this is probably an easier question, truly. So there's some Civ Pro questions that are so much more complicated that are real. This just happens to be an easier one. So B, no, because the retailer is a citizen of state B. That looks pretty good, but I'm going to go to the other 2. C, yes, because the parties are citizens of different states and more than 75,000 is in controversy. So I know this is incorrect. This is true, but forum defendant rule. And then D, yes, because the retailer is a citizen of both state B and state C. And that just doesn't make, sometimes I have these answers that I just say are like kind of bananas. And there's nothing about them being a citizen of both state B and state C that would make it so that removal was proper. So like when I'm teaching, I have a little bananas emoji that I put next to the answers. But this is just false. Um, and it forgets about the forum defendant rule. So this question, not so complicated. But the big thing that you're going to see, and like those of you that took the class, you can confirm this, is often you're going to see an obscure rule that is incorrect in an answer option. It'll be incorrect, but it might be the only time you see that rule come up. And so you've got to make sure that you're familiar with that rule and why it doesn't apply, and also think about when it would apply. Right? Okay, let's look at the next one. So, is the nurse likely to grant the hospital's motion? So whenever they give me a motion in the call of the question, I always want to know what is that motion. So I look directly up into the paragraph above to see if I can get a hint as to what the motion is. Because you want to sort of center yourself, and I try to identify as closely as possible what the issue is as early on as possible. So what's the motion? Here it's a motion for sanctions against the nurse's attorney. Okay. So motion for sanctions. So I'm immediately thinking of the 4 sanctions provisions. So Rule 11, Rule 16, Rule 26, and Rule 37 are the 4. Let's see. Oh, it should be the court, not the nurse. Is there a typo? Let me see. I think I remember looking at the hospital's motion. Hang on one second. Oh yeah, the court. Yeah, it says the nurse. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I was trying to copy these over and, of course. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. All right. So is the court likely to grant the hospital's motion? Yeah. So a 50-year-old nurse who had been fired from his job at a hospital told his attorney, I was fired because of my age and I want to sue the hospital. So he makes this statement to the lawyer, right? Generally, you got to be able to trust your clients. Until they give you a reason not to trust them, we believe them. So based on this information, the attorney filed an age discrimination complaint against the hospital in federal court. Okay. As it turned out, the hospital had hired a 52-year-old man as the nurse's replacement, a fact that rendered an age discrimination claim unavailable. So when we're talking about the pleadings and filing a pleading where there's a plausible claim, you have to sign, the attorney always signs the pleading, verifying that they have a valid basis for bringing the suit. So here, this would be dealing with Rule 11. So under Rule 11, you have to sign it stating that you investigated, etc. Okay. So the hospital responded to the complaint by filing a motion for sanctions against the nurse's attorney. So the basis for the motion for sanctions would be Rule 11. And with Rule 11, you have to, there's a 20, it's basically you write the motion, you deliver it to the offending party, and you have to give it to the offending party and give them 21 days to amend or withdraw the offending paper. If they don't do that, then you can reply with a motion for sanctions with a Rule 11 motion. So here, the hospital responded to the complaint by immediately filing a motion for sanctions. Nothing suggests they waited the 21 days. So let's go through all 4 of the answer options. So is the court likely to grant the hospital's motion? A, no, because sanctions are not proper against the attorney of a represented party. This is just untrue. There can be sanctions against the attorney, and you want to know what all of those provisions are. So here, this misstates the law. a court may sanction under any of these provisions. There are some times, and you want to know what these are, there are some times when it's more appropriate to sanction the lawyer. Sometimes it's more appropriate to sanction the actual individual, like the client or the plaintiff or the defendant themselves versus the lawyer. So A is out. That's incorrect. And you want to do a deep dive and make sure you understand the sanctions provisions. B, no, because the hospital failed to give the attorney the chance to withdraw the complaint in advance of filing the motion with the court. That's true. That is true. With Rule 11, you need the 21 days. A little wrinkle on this is if the court catches this. If the court catches this, then the court, sua sponte, on its own, can issue sanctions for a Rule 11 violation, and they don't have to give the warning. So the court can do it without waiting 21 days. If a party wants to do it, file a Rule 11 motion, they have to wait the 21 days. So a little wrinkle that throws some people off. So B looks good, but I'm going to go through the rest. C, yes, because a nurse's attorney failed to conduct a reasonable pre-filing inquiry. We actually don't know that that's true from the facts. Yeah, this is the Rule 11 rule. Yeah, this is Rule 11, not Rule 12. Yeah. We don't know that that's necessarily true. They can trust their lawyer, or they can trust their client rather. The attorney can trust their client. It may make sense, but I think it's kind of mischaracterizes the facts to say definitively that they failed to conduct a reasonable pre-filing inquiry. And regardless of that, they failed to wait the 21 days. So I would say this potentially mischaracterizes the facts. Plus, we have the 21 days. Okay, so C is out. And then D, yes, because the nurse's complaint contained legal contentions that were not warranted by existing law based on the facts in this case. That is also true. It does contain legal contentions that are not warranted. However, we still have the 21 days. And between C and D, one little tip here. I like D, even though they're both wrong. If I were between anything, if I was like looking at C and D, D is a better answer because it gets at the exact language from the rule, whereas C just states a fact. So I would automatically strike C no matter what, because D is a more precise answer and it uses the correct rule language. It still forgets about the 21 days, but D is a better answer overall between the two. And there's a hierarchy of correct answers. What is a better answer? The best answers incorporate both the law and the facts. Second best is a statement of law. Third is a statement of fact. But D is still wrong. So B is our correct answer. So do you see how much depth we can get from going into these? You guys starting to see that a little bit? Oh, this is actually a towards question. Okay, good. I'm going to skip that one. Q16. Okay, cool. Good. All right, good. So look at question 16. Now I'm going to give you guys a few minutes. I want you to do this on your own and then come to the correct answer. And I'm going to put a poll up. I want you to put in what you think is the correct answer once you're done. Oh, and this should say seek a new trial. They might not say renewed. You can't change your answer in the poll, which is fine. Don't worry, it doesn't count. But somebody asked if they don't say renewed, it just says judgment as a matter of law. That's okay as long as they did it. Yeah. Everybody take another 30 seconds. Try to get your answers in. You can't change the poll answer. That's okay though. All right. I'm going to end that. All right. Let me walk through it and then I'll share the results after I've gone through it. Um, okay. So, what is the protester's best option for challenging the judgment? Okay. So, we're challenging a judgment. So, we're post trial, right? So, a protester brought an action in federal court against a police officer. So, PVPO. I always diagram a little bit. I'm always taking notes, and I'm taking notes the way that I would want you to do it on the exam. So I'm always going to model what I want you to do. And I'm not someone to say that you have to do everything my way. I know other people that teach, other people in this space say that. I always want to see people have different ways of doing things, and I don't want you to bend to my will. I want to teach you the tools to get you that answer. And if you need to stray, that's okay. We'll just show you and we'll just make sure that that's okay. So, a protester brought an action in federal court against a police officer, alleging that the officer's use of force in arresting the protester violated the protester's federal civil rights. So, we have a federal question. During the jury trial, eyewitnesses gave conflicting testimony on the arrest. At the close of evidence, so we have conflicting testimony. So, um, it's not totally clear if the evidence was against the weight of the verdict, or if the verdict was against the weight of the evidence. Excuse me. So at the close of evidence, protester moved for JMOL. So P files a JMOL. They're usually denied. It was denied. So I'm taking notes as to what happened as I go to keep kind of make a short little timeline and as to what happened. The thing you don't want to do is you don't want to be going back and rereading through the fact pattern, right? That takes an enormous amount of time and that will slow you down. So you need to know effective note taking. And that varies from topic to topic and subject to subject. So that's why I go through and teach this class so thoroughly, is because it's like the notes you take for property are different than Civ Pro, are different than contracts, etc. So the court instructed the jury that the protester's burden of proof was clear and convincing, rather than the correct burden of preponderance of the evidence. So they gave the wrong standard. They gave the wrong burden, right? Whenever you're affecting somebody's constitutional right, you're affecting their substantial rights. We see this come up in civil procedure. We see it come up in criminal procedure as well. So whenever you have and con law, whenever you have a constitutional right, if there is something done incorrectly, then it affects your substantial rights. Yeah. So that's something where you can get a new trial on it. If there is plain error by the court, yep, where it affects your substantial rights. So, something like that, huge red flag, like ding, 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 alarm bells should be going off if you were the lawyer in this case. And I just also want to tell everybody on the MBE and on the essays too, there's just a lot of bad lawyering happening. So just because they say the lawyer did something, don't assume that they're right, or the court ruled a certain way. Don't accept that as correct. The jury returned a verdict for the officer and the court entered judgment accordingly. But there's a huge problem here. So what is the protester's best option for challenging the judgment? So here, it doesn't give us anything about the timing. So, but seeking a new trial. So the options here are new trial, judgment as a matter of law, judgment as a matter of law. So these are basically within the same timeline. And Alberto, I'll get into this stuff in a second. Um, yeah. So seek a new trial because a jury affected the protesters' substantial rights. That looks really good. They absolutely affected the substantial rights. So that looks good. I'm going to keep that. B, seek a new trial because the verdict was against the clear weight of the evidence. This goes beyond the facts. All we know is that there was conflicting testimony. They don't give you facts to make that determination. So this, I would say, is incorrect because it goes beyond the facts here. So that's incorrect. All right. So there's new trial, new trial. Seek judgment as a matter of law. They did seek a JMOL, and that was timely. So they can seek an RJMOL as well. And notice it just says judgment as a matter of law. It doesn't say renewed. So this is where if you got to this and you're like, oh, JMOL, or RJMOL, did they do a JMOL? This is where the notes and having written this down here is so helpful because you don't have to dig back through the fact pattern. So it helps you to be judicious with your time. Even though it takes you a little longer to take notes, you'll get faster and better at doing this. So seek JMOL because the jury did not have legally sufficient evidence to find for the officer. That again goes beyond the facts. But also that it does, I want to point something out. With B and C, this is the difference for a new trial and a motion for judgment as a matter of law. Judgment as a matter of law is dealing with the sufficiency of the evidence. So that's dealing with sufficiency. New trial, the standard there, if you're talking about like the evidence, it's there we use the standard of against the clear weight of the evidence. So it does get the standards right, which is really important because that stuff gets to be really tricky and confusing. If the answer does not state renewed JMOL, it only says JMOL. No, it can say JMOL even if it is a renewed. They can use both of those terms. It doesn't matter. And then seek JMOL because the jury's findings were clearly erroneous. This again goes beyond the facts. And also, if you thought B, C, or D, if you picked one of them, there's not enough to know that, but also then how would you pick between the three? So that would make it difficult. All right. So A is our correct answer. Yeah. It affected their substantial rights. Yeah, some of you are stuck between A and C, and I get that. So you want to always know, okay, the goal is for you to not really ever be stuck between two. Because you will always be like, oh, I can get it down to two. Good. You should be able to do that. The difference is picking between the two. And how do you effectively do that? And like you may hear some people tell you in the future, just read the call to question, read the answers, strike the ones that are wrong. I think that's incredibly difficult to do for most people. Like I can do that because I know all the tricks with them, but like I know every single question and every single answer for every single multiple choice question. Like I know them and I can go like deconstruct them. So that's really rare, not to be like shoot my own horn, but I guess kind of. So that's how we get to the right answer. But we want to just go through it in depth. So that's a little preview. I have the other 10. If I have time, I might do another section on Civ Pro and we'll go through some more of these. But it's a little preview. We're going to continue to do some of this next week as well, but we're going to do torts next week. And I do have some questions that I want to talk about. Hey, Sarah Danielle. So somebody says, what is rarely discussed in bar prep? What is rarely discussed is performing one's best with the immense physical, mental discomfort aside from the actual 2-day exam. So like how to preserve your energy, how to deal with the drain of waiting 2 hours and winding lines, etc. So there's a lot going on here. Okay, yeah. So the chatter of board on discipline proctors throughout, I mean, it's really like some good things to do are to do practice like when you're a little bit tired, right? So like sit around and don't do anything where you can't look at your phone or anything for 90 minutes and then do your essay. So you can practice like replicating those scenarios, number one. Number two, it can be really good to go to like a noisy, busy place like a coffee shop and do some practice there to deal with and practice drowning out all the noise around you. So that stuff is definitely good to do. Um, let's see. I'm going to answer a couple of other questions. Um, okay. And I'm going to talk about waiting for results for February 2026 also. If you want to talk to me separately about the baby bar, just shoot my team an email at hello@bar-md.com. Just shoot us an email. We can chat. Um, so I actually have to figure out exactly when I'm going to do this, but like what to do while you're waiting for results. Um, I'm going to talk about this, I think, in my podcast episode this week. And I sent an email about this, Anita, that I can forward as well. Um, so, okay, let's see. Somebody asked about the format changing with the MBE, with the U. People are talking about the UBE. If you're taking the legacy UBE exam, nothing is changing. So don't worry about it. If you're taking next gen, that's a whole different beast. And if you're taking next gen, I will be doing some stuff to help prepare for that this summer, just not yet. So we haven't sorted that out, finalized it yet. But first, let me just go back actually to this. We are doing, oops, stop, wrong thing. I just wanted to give a couple of pointers, a couple of free things to, let me put this. So we have our Master in the MBE course. And again, keep coming to these each week. These are free. So there's 4 more for sure for free. But our Master in the MBE course, if multiple choice is tough for you, it starts May 12th. It's going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday evenings. It's 24 live classes. I'm teaching all of them and we go so in depth. Everything is recorded too. So I do it live and then we record it and it's uploaded. It's organized by subtopic to demonstrate the patterns, how issues are tested against one another. It includes my best MBE book, and it's $7.99. And then if you want a hard copy of the book, which I really strongly encourage you to get, it's an extra $40. But also tons of free resources. Tonight's webinar will be posted to our YouTube channel. We have a ton of free stuff. We also have stuff that's like for members only. We have our podcast. I'm literally starting to record that. I've started working on everything and we're filming starting next week. So be on the lookout. It's going to be really helpful. And if you have questions, stuff that's stressing you out, shoot me an email saying, hey, I would love it if you talked about this on your podcast, and I'll do something with that too. I have Reddit and Facebook groups. We have our free workshop courses on the website and some like free samples of stuff. So just wanted to point all of that out. If you already got the hardcover book, yeah, just shoot my team an email because we'll give you like a decent discount for that. So yeah, just shoot my team an email. The hard copy of the MBE book was not available when you purchase a digital copy that can be viewed online only. So the one thing about the MBE book, just FYI, is I'm making some updates to it right now. I'm just adding in a couple of additional rules, mostly in Civ Pro. So that should be done. If you just keep waiting just a little bit longer, I'll have an update. I was hoping to finish it this week. It doesn't look like that's going to happen, but we will be getting those. They will absolutely be ready soon, and we'll let you know. Yeah, and somebody asked, I do offer NPT, MEE, all and MBE courses, and you watched my videos on YouTube. Yeah, and I know I go in depth on YouTube. I go so much deeper in the whole class too. I like to be super thorough. Thanks, Carrie. The UBE book. Yeah, thank you. The mastering the MBE classes, they are 2 hours each. They're 2 hours each night. And it's taught at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And thanks, Carrie. Yeah, the MPT class, those are going to be on Sundays this time. And the MEE book class will be on Saturdays. And yeah, I do offer one-on-one tutoring for the MBE. It's different because with the one-on-one tutoring, I'm literally, me or my team are going over your MBEs. I know every single question. So when I'm going through your MBEs, I can I can look at it and say, okay, this is what you're missing. I can identify the patterns in what you're missing and help you identify why you're missing that. But people need so much less tutoring for the multiple choice when they do it in conjunction with the class. That is my goal, is to make passing the MBE more accessible and affordable. Tutoring is the most expensive option. But for tutoring, if you're going to do tutoring with me, you have to be available during the day, during the week. So, because I don't have any weekend spots or evening spots available. The classes on the weekend, I think they're going to be at um, 12 o'clock Eastern time and 1 o'clock Pacific. Yeah. Rachel, it doesn't have every single thing on there. And yeah, we will add some more, but if there's something in particular, let me know. It doesn't have everything, though. It's not supposed to. It's supposed to be like all the really big stuff that you need to know. Thanks, Peter. That should be there. I'll double check. That should be there. If not, I wonder if there was a tech issue, but that should be there. Oh, that's so weird, Rachel. That's really odd. But I'll go double check that. Thanks for letting me know. Um, all right. So that's it for tonight, everybody. Join me next week for torts. We're gonna work through, yeah, send me an email. Thanks, Rachel. I'd really appreciate that. Nadine, I'm not 100% on the PT, the class times. I have to double check that. So just TBD or double check on the website. Oh, the poll results. Thank you. Well, let me get the poll. Where did it go? Oh, I'm so glad you liked the essay book, Gabriella. And thanks, Minus. There they are. There's the poll results. And I hope to see everybody next week. Please feel free to join me and tell people that you know about it, etc. So we'd really appreciate that. And if you had a question that I didn't get to, please feel free to shoot us an email at hello@bar-md. Thank you. And Rachel, definitely send me an email on that. I'm super curious. Good to see you too, Giselle. Thank you so much. All right, cool. Thanks. Oh, Ananta, it might need to be, yeah, because we had to figure out a wrinkle on it on MPT, because I think MPT is going to be at 12 p.m. Eastern, because we need to do it at a time where people on the West Coast and East Coast can both attend. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much. A date yet for the dates are public. The dates are published. It starts in June. Thanks, Khalud. Oh, that's weird, Alina. The calendar says KS. I'm not sure what that is, Alina. Contracts? Oh, maybe it's not torts next week. Maybe it's contracts. I might be missing. Yeah. That's why I wasn't sure what you were referring to. March, yeah, you know what? I'm not doing torts this time. I'm so used to saying that, but next week's going to be contracts because torts is pretty easy. So yeah, thank you, Alina. I really appreciate that. Got keep me on my toes. I've been on vacation for the last couple weeks, so forgive me. My brain is maybe a little on vacation mode still. All right. Thank you again, everybody. Thanks so much for joining. I will see you all very soon. Bye.